Okay, there's my front page of my presentation. And some of you may want to correspond with me. So get down my email address if you'd like. Um, this presentation has been uploaded about 10 minutes ago to my website. And just click on meeting notes at my website and you can get the PDF version. If you want the PowerPoint version, let me know. Okay, in a one-sentence executive summary, you can use various models of webcams to spy on your homes, your businesses, and your pets. They can alert your cell phone and or your computer when they detect motion. That's called motion detection, right? And finally, now with the advent of free and cheap internet cloud access, you now have a means of communicating with your webcam through the cloud, and you have a nice place to store snapshots and video clips up in the cloud. Let's see, here are the topics we're going to cover today. Let's start with webcam basics, a little bit of history, legal issues regarding webcam, security issues, and then the different kinds of webcams as they evolved. The first kind was obviously the wired USB ones. They're still very popular and cheap. Then, using them, you can create a free motion detection alarm using free software. I've done that dozens of times. Finally, you can graduate to the more modern cutting-edge Wi-Fi webcams. Then, the last couple of years, they have been cloud-based webcams, depend on your internet connection. And to top things off, the last 3 or 4 months, the Netgear company has put out an Arlo webcam, which is totally wireless. It runs off of batteries. And it's entirely cloud-based. And has a very good picture and probably is best out there. It's very cutting edge, as I'll tell you about. Let's start with the definition of webcams. It's a video camera that feeds or streams its image in real time to or through a computer to a computer network. And then when captured by the computer, the video stream may be saved, viewed, or sent to other networks by means of systems such as the internet, that probably needed to be capitalized, and through email as an attachment. Okay, that's a big definition. Most of the time, in the old days, a webcam referred to a USB wired camera. However, if you look at the internet these days, people are using it to refer to wired USB connected cameras, wired IP cameras, Wi-Fi cameras, and then totally wireless Wi-Fi cameras, of which now there's only one. Okay, details of webcams, you can get them here at these two websites. History, Kinetics, later on was acquired by Logicon. They made the Quick Cam for Macintosh. The first model was the serial model, and it looked like this. And it had a mini DIN plug for a serial port plug. We borrowed that from the Germans in Europe. And for a few years, that was what the kind of serial port that all the PCs in this country had, and the Macs also. Okay, now in 1996, that was way back when in 1994, right? So back in 1996, they finally came out with IP webcams that had a Cat5 jack, so they connected directly to your network. Okay, they were a network device. And then in 1998, they came out with the USB 1 Logitech's QuickCam Home. Had a USB 1 port, but they still were carrying parallel port models. In the year 2000, webcams became integral to laptops and some monitors. I was one of the first ones to get one. Finally, they graduated a year later to USB 2. And in 2005, they started putting out Wi-Fi wireless cameras, also known by many people as wireless webcams. The high definition webcams came out in 2006. So I now have to shave whenever I get on a webcam with somebody. Finally, let's see, in 2012, Dropcam came out. The Mac company embraced it and put it in their store. In 2014, they evolved into a Nest Cam, and the Nest Cam company was acquired by Google. They fell out of favor with Apple, and so now Apple no longer sells them. They sell another camera instead from France as one of their standardized cams, the only standardized cam I think there is in their world. Finally, in 2015, which is early this year, Netgear came out with the first totally wireless camera for home and business, small business use. They call it the Arlo. Okay. Legalities. I'm not going to bore you with a lot of legalities. Every time I talk about webcams, someone raises their hand and mentions that you have to know the laws to keep out of trouble. I highly don't recommend that you put one in the restroom where your employer is. There's a bunch of other problems with privacy, so you have to be somewhat careful where you put one. Most of the federal and state laws regarding video surveillance pertain only to the audio, and they're referred to as wiretapping laws. And it's generally believed that you're safer when you just record video, because then all those other laws don't kick in and you have less work for lawyers and judges. Every state of the United States has different laws pertaining to webcams, and every country in the world has slightly different laws. The most common precedent in law is the reasonable expectation of privacy. If people expect something to be private and you take a video or a audio recording of it, then there is both criminal and civil law that you may have broken. Different laws apply to hidden cameras versus cameras that are in plain sight. In most cases, you will want your camera in plain sight just because it has a deterrent effect on some crimes and some criminals. Okay, and I have all these websites that I've been collecting over the years. Every time I give a presentation of webcams, sometimes I'm asked to go back and give one about the legal aspects of them. So I go and keep up with them by reading these 4-6 websites. Finally, security issues regarding webcams. I'll give you a short story. My sister was using her webcam because she likes to do Skype with her kids. She has a stack of kids. And one day her webcam came on, and she wasn't using it. The lamp on the top of her webcam came on. Pretty soon a message popped up on her desktop stating that somebody saw her. So that is called cam-fecting. It's not a very popularly used term. It means fraudulently accessing someone's webcam and using it for one reason or another. Finally, in the press, the word cam-fecting almost never occurs, and you hear about RATs, remote administration tools. That's when someone can get into your computer and do various nasty things to your computer, including activate your webcam. So keep that in mind. Now, people ask me, what can you do to prevent all this? The best defense, and every single government agency, corporation, large business, some of the smaller businesses in this country use a two or more router demilitarized zone. Looks like this. And there's a link at the bottom where you can learn more about it at Steve Gibson's website. Steve Gibson is a computer guru. He used to write software for fixing hard drives. He got bored with that, and now he's a consultant, and he deals a lot with security. He's still selling his software for fixing hard drives, and I still run it. However, it only fixes about 10% of the hard drives. I just run it out of habit. Okay, now, to protect yourself against webcam abuse from the outside world, you can attach your webcam, not webcam, to a computer or a other device that will communicate with it, and attach it to the DMZ side, demilitarized zone side of a 2-router demilitarized zone configuration. And I have a complete presentation about doing all that. Let me see if I can, on my website, so let me know if you want to see it. Let's talk about wired USB webcams. They've been around for quite a while, long time. I've installed several dozen of them for people. And it is the only sort of webcam. Actually, let's start with this. This is how it works. You have a webcam friendly application or app on your computer, and your webcam is attached to it by means of a USB 2 or 3 cable, right? The webcam sends its signal into your computer through the USB cable, and it draws power, DC power, from the USB port. So there's no additional wires that you have attached to it. So this is simple, right? There's one drawback. You can only go about 5 meters, which is 16.4 feet, with USB 2 cables. You might be you would have to go even shorter if you had an extremely expensive USB 3 webcam. They're in the $600 and higher up, and so most of you won't be buying too many of them. What else can I tell you about here? All right, USB wired webcams. If you walk into a store, that's all you'll find at a Walmart or a Target store. Are the only webcams that work with Skype, Adobe Connect, Zoom.us, which you're using today, Appear.in, the newer stuff, FaceTime for the Mac. Other types of webcams that I'll cover today that are more modern and more high-tech will not work with online meeting services at the present time. That might change in the future. But right now, you have to have the old-fashioned wired USB webcam to do anything with communicating with other people in a conference. Okay, very popular webcam is this monster right here. It's about the size of a golf ball. And it goes for $44.99. Very good price. Just bought one, and I'm beating the heck out of it, using it day and night. If you want to use it for detecting motion and recording intrusions, or just watching your dog when you're not home, you can use ContaCam or YawCam software. They're both free. You can use ContaCam or YawCam software, and if you know how to configure it, and it's tricky depending on your email service and your cell phone, you can use it to send photos of motion, intruders, wildlife, your kid, your babysitter, to your cell phone and or your laptop. And here's how it works. A moving object or person triggers the motion sensing software inside the ContaCam or YawCam program. The webcam itself isn't smart enough, the wired ones at least. The YawCam or ContaCam program either begins recording a video stream for a few seconds, as long as you've set it for, or some still photographs, and what happens? It sends it off to your email. And when it happens, you get an email. In this case, this was my cell phone. I got a nice email of myself waving at the camera. Okay, so that's handy if you want to detect motion and you want to be notified when motion occurs in your home or business. So that's one way you can kind of do it yourself security. You're not hiring a security company to call you and charge you your $80 to $200 a month. The YawCam or ContaCam program stores these recordings as files on your local hard drive, and if you send it off to some place like Yahoo Mail also, your recordings and photos will also be stored there in case someone steals your camera. So that's a handy thing to have, right? And this is just a quick flow chart of what I just told you. What else can I tell you about? Webcam is available for free. It's run by one volunteer web software developer, okay? And here's his website. You can go to yawcam.com and get a copy of his software. Don't click on the two links on the very top there. Those are ads. They'll run you off to sell you a $1,000 piece of software that he apparently also works on. So that's a typical banner ads buried inside the middle of a web page to fool you into spending $1,000. Let's see. Conacam is also available. They don't pull as much nonsense when you go to their site, and their software is a little more sophisticated, so you might want to try it. I tried it when they first came out about 6 months ago, and I bombed out. Since then, they've come out with several different versions, including this new version on October 3rd, and I intend to try it again because I don't like failing when I play with computers and all my toys. So we'll probably try it again. Okay. I have written an extensive how-to document with screenshots on how to set up Webcam. And if you really want to enjoy yourself, you can look at these two YouTube videos that someone at the Tucson Computer Society made of me demonstrating the use of Webcam. At that time, I had a Sony laptop. Terrible. Don't buy them. Their batteries don't last, and nobody makes spare batteries for them. Then I had this fancy Ericsson cell phone, which was cost me about $300, and I could then send pictures to the cell phone, and so that I could then know when someone was intruding into my residence. So I was very proud to show that. What else can I tell you about? And you're welcome to see it on YouTube, including all my silly jokes. Now, Wi-Fi webcams are the next step up. They've been out for about 3 years. And here's where the fun begins. Everybody in my neighborhood wants to put up some Wi-Fi webcams. No one wants to deal with the 15-foot limit of a USB webcam. We had a couple of burglaries about 2 blocks away. And so some neighbors asked me to learn more about Wi-Fi webcams. So I told them I'd get back to them in 2 weeks. Well, to make a long story short, 3 months later, I had many headaches. I had returned some of them, and I didn't find one that really worked well. So I'll show you what I did find. Okay, they all require power. Okay, you're not out of the woods in terms of being near a power outlet. And they work like this. They require power. It spits out a local web page onto your local area network towards your router or your network switch. Your computer then can use this local IP address in a web browser or an app, and your computer can then see this web page. And I thought that would be simple, right? Well, boy, was I mistaken. First of all, you have to use a web browser that has a supported, a manufacturer's Flash-based browser add-on, and a lot of them don't work. Then you have to, what happens? Then you have to be careful about which web browser you're using, just because of that. What else can I tell you about? Okay, so we tested these 4 webcams. I told them I'd be done at the end of May. I'm still testing them right now. It's now October. It's now what, November? These are 4 brands of webcams, and they all work terrible. Some of them are better than others, so I'll tell you about each one. Probably bore you to death. Let's see, the RF link camera. It's sitting next to me right now. It just died. I had it running all night. I'm going to have to reconfigure it. I don't know what happened to it. It was good for a couple of weeks. I've been running it for a couple of weeks, a couple of months. Okay, these other three webcams, they all arrived in my hot little hands, and I unboxed each one, and I followed the manufacturer's instructions on installing each and every one of them, and none of them worked. They were all dead out of the box. Okay, so here are, now that I've told you some of the problems, I'm going to tell you the whole list of my squawks and complaints and my crying about these webcams. Rapid firmware obsolescence. When they sell it to you, the firmware inside all but one of the four was obsolete, more than 4 months old, and the software that was available bundled in a CD with the camera or downloadable from the website did not communicate with the webcam. This is right out of the box. So that made it, now even if you get it all working, you flash the firmware inside the webcam, it only supports perhaps one of the browsers in your computer. So now you're into browser shopping to find out which one works with which computer. Finally, as new models are released and new firmware becomes available, which is every 3 or 4 months for the webcam business, the Wi-Fi webcam business, they lack software support by third-party software such as the free ContiCam and YaCam. You've got to wait around for a while for these companies to catch up and make that camera work. Sometimes you can wait 3 to 6 months. Finally, you need AC power for the darn thing, so you can't just hide it somewhere. There's this ugly wire that you have to run through walls or do your best to camouflage in your baseboard of your house to try to make it less unsightly, or your wife or spouse will yell at you. Okay, so keep that in mind. This is the first webcam we got, and it's sort of decent. Okay, it's $130. It comes from TrendNet. It looks like that. It's about the size of your fist. It's not very big. And what can I tell you about it? The video has always been jerking on this webcam, and so I guess they never got all their firmware working right and their circuitry. Okay, so I'm hoping someday they improve on it. In the meantime, it's better than nothing, right? It's probably the only one I've got that my Mac would talk to. And then the PC was a little picky about it. The first thing I do is I take it out of the box and I flash the darn thing, and because after struggling with it and realizing that it had old firmware in it, so I finally got it going. And the flash software is only available in a Windows format, so none of my neighbors were interested in it because they're all a bunch of Mac bigots. So I had to use it on my Mac to demonstrate it to them, attempt to, which failed. So now they don't think I know what I'm doing. What else can I say? So now I'm using the setup program finally, and it's available in Windows only. So now I can't even set up the darn camera if I have a Mac. Finally, when I finally get around to getting it going with the Windows computer, I can finally run it in a Mac. And when that happens, it ran pretty darn decent. It ran in all these, both Windows and Mac. And what else can I tell you? The Chrome browser can't see it. No matter what I do, I've struggled and I couldn't get it going. So it has to run an Internet Explorer, which isn't too bad because you have a copy if you have a Windows computer, right? In a Mac computer, it both Yosemite and El Capitan, I've got both here. It runs in Safari and Firefox browsers, but it doesn't run in the Chrome browser, which isn't the end of the world, right? You just have to go find a PC person or get smart on running Windows in your Mac to make it work. Sorry about the term Mac because I was just trying to be sarcastic. I own one, you know. And it's probably my best computer. I spend more money on it than any other computer here. I was just trying to be sarcastic a little bit. I hope nobody takes offense. I saw something pop up in the. Anyhow, here's how it looks in the Safari browser. To show you that is that a Safari browser? Yes, sir. This morning it was a little blurred out. I had the sun pointed right at me, but it's still better than no picture. Okay, and it was letting me see what was going on. I'm expecting some Boy Scouts to show up today, so I want to know when they're here. They're doing a food drive for the needy. Okay. Now in the Mac browser, Firefox browser in Mac, it looks like that. Same, not much of a difference, right? And finally, in the Safari browser, you get this error message. It tells you to install the NCS plugin. So you try to install the NCS plugin and nothing happens. Then you end up giving up and going to another browser. Okay, in the Windows computer, you notice that it has a slightly better picture. Well, that's life in a big city, right? It's not that much different. I actually cheated a little bit and took this later on in the day when the sun wasn't pointing at my camera. And it runs fine in the Windows computer in Internet Explorer. And what else did it do? Did it go at all in... oh, and it didn't like, in a Windows computer, it didn't work like the Chrome browser either. So I guess it has a problem. So, okay, I'm used to problems. And it gives you this nasty error message, which I don't understand because I'm not technical enough to understand what an NPAPI plugin is. Some of you do. Finally, this is the lovely camera that broke on me this morning. It just died. So I'll probably try to reconfigure it. It's $104. It's the scariest looking camera I own. People back up when they see it. It looks like it might jump out at them. Okay. This is the only camera that I bought, a Wi-Fi camera, did not require a firmware update before it would start working. Okay, camera is totally dead in the water in Macs. And what else can I tell you about? Okay, it only works with Internet Explorer and not the Chrome browser for some unknown reason. So it looks like this. It's a pretty good picture when it's working, right? It's too bad it died this morning. I'll have to try to fix it or send it back in under warranty. So it's a pretty sharp picture for the money. And so what else can I tell you about? All right. All we get is this error message, and you can install VLC media player all you want, and it won't fix the problem. Okay? So that's that one. So we gave up on the Mac. All we got is these error messages. Okay? So what else can I tell you about? Are we running out of time? No, good. RF link. Oh no, that's just more about this camera. I'm going to go cut away from the details. Okay, we bought this $40 gem from D-Link. I was very suspicious at that price, and my suspicions were right. It was a total failure. Okay, so I put this X here to remind you not to buy it, even if you see it on sold for $10 on Amazon. Okay, this one required a firmware update also before it would even accept its configuration software. Then after we got it firmware updated, and we still couldn't get it working, and so I have no screenshots to show you about this camera. So don't buy it. I don't. Now D-Link, I'm about to show you, also has the best camera on earth for the home and small business user. I'll show you that in a minute. They did it by buying someone else's patent. I'll show you that in a minute. Okay. So these are all just complaints about that camera. Now, I had better success with a more expensive D-Link camera, this $119 job, the DCS 1130. It looks like this. That's also scary looking when people show up in your living room and you show it to them. Okay, so it has some good psychological effect, even though it isn't that good a camera. And how much is it? $118. Okay. It required a firmware update, just like the other two, correction. And first thing that made me a little suspicious is all those manuals showed Windows 7 screens. So I suspected that it's getting a little obsolete. Let's see. Okay, it works fine in the Chrome browser. Gives you this nice picture. a little fuzzy, but not as good as perhaps the TrendNet. Okay, at least it works a little bit, right? And so what else can you do? It works better indoors than the other cameras. So it depends on how much light you've got going. We never got it to going in the Windows Internet Explorer 11 browser. And what else happened? In the Mac, we got this nasty error message, and we never could get it going. So we were going to keep jumping past all this squawking and move into the next type of cloud-based webcams. Okay, pioneered pretty much by the Apple company. They were pushing them long before they became popular. And I almost bought one. I was just about to buy one when the Apple company pulled the rug from underneath this camera. What happened? Okay, cloud-based webcams depend on your connection to the internet. They're dead without it. So a lot of people complain about that. Here's how they work. Hope you can see this chart. It's a little goofy. First of all, all these cloud-based cameras require some kind of power. Usually a USB power cord provides power. It doesn't provide anything else but power. Okay? So you have a power adapter. You have to plug into power, or you have to wire it in somehow to the camera. Then the camera goes through your local area network. Doesn't communicate at all with anything on your local area network, to the web server farm of the manufacturer of your webcam. Then you have to go through the network, or wherever the heck you are, and connect to this web page to connect to your camera. Okay, so it's called cloud-based. When you're home, it's like ships passing each other at night. The signals go through your local area network, your router, your broadband service, to the cloud, and then from the cloud to your web browser or your webcams app in your computer, tablet, or cell phone. So it involves a few things have to be working. The internet has to be working, and your camera, your local area network has to be working. What else is okay? The first one that came out was called Dropcam, and Apple started selling them as soon as they came out. They were very impressed by them. The Nest company acquired the Drop company. The Nest company was acquired by Google. The Apple store dropped it when it became the Nest Cam, and they now sell another camera. I'll tell you all about that. I tried to buy one, except I had a few problems. It looks like this. The Nest Cam is the former Drop Cam. It pretty much kept the same original form factor, and it's $194. You'll find that the $190 plus price point is where the good stuff hits the market. Okay, what else can I tell you about? I wanted to make sure for sure that it still can't run off of battery packs. And what else can I tell you about? Okay, this is just the same diagram you saw earlier, but it's got a Nest Cam in it. Oh, that's the wrong camera I've got on the slide. I must have been tired. That's the next camera. That's the one that they currently recommend. So I'll fix that later. Anyhow, you can see that if you go to Amazon and you read all the reviews, and I like to read reviews on Amazon because I think they're more honest than the ones at the manufacturer's websites, you'll find that there's a ton of complaints after the Nest Cam the Drop Cam became the Nest Cam. They lost a lot of the functions as they were converting the software and upgrading it. And so now many of the features, like knowing when you leave your house to turn on motion detection and a bunch of other nonsense, died. And the Nest Cam company is busy fixing all these problems that they broke. So in the meantime, I don't recommend this because of all the screaming on the Amazon website and other places online. The second cloud-based webcam is the Withings Home Video Camera. It's made in France, and it's currently the only one that's sold on the physical and online Apple Store. And there's a reason for it, because it works well with the Macs, and they don't get too many returns. Apple doesn't like a lot of returns. It gives them a bad name, right? Withings can be connected to the local area network by either a wireless Wi-Fi connection, in other words, over the air, or by means of a wired Ethernet cable. So remember I told you that all the other ones that had a wired Ethernet cable were in the $600 range? This is the exception. Okay, so it looks like this. Okay, it's about the size of your fist. And it also has a bunch of other neat features that people like, including it monitors the quality of air in your home for particulates and smoke, and warns you when there's too much smoke in your place, like when you don't adjust your fireplace damper correctly, it will warn you. Or when you say your house fills with smoke, it'll alert you. So it's got a lot of things that are good about it. It is in the $199, $200 range. And you have 3 levels of free web storage with the Withings company, located in France. They'll give you 2 days of storage for free, 7 days for $8 a month, and 30 days of storage for $20 a month. They don't say the amount, they just say the days. So what they're doing is when you store with video clip, they monitor how old it is, and they delete it for you as a free service when your time's up for it, depending on your level of your account. Now, one problem is this is very cutting edge technology. You get a lot of these messages on their website. In other words, they've had a lot of problems keeping their website in France running for storing all of these video frames and clips. Okay, so a lot of people complain about that. They claim they're working hard on it to try to improve their reliability for their service. Now, finally, this is the Withings webcam, and this is how it's wired up, and it also needs power, right? And here's why I'm not buying one of these yet. My neighbors might buy one. You can't set one of these things up without an iPad, an iPhone, or an iPod Touch. Well, I don't have those toys, okay? I went into a tremendous, like a lot of people, when I retired, a reduction in cash flow, so I don't buy things that have a recurring bill from a phone company or any other kind of issue, okay? So I haven't bought one for that reason. The people that do run these cameras do seem to like them. Eventually, the price comes down, and they make it so you can configure it with a regular Mac OS X computer, and I have a very nice one. I will buy one, probably. And let's see. They claim it only takes 30 seconds to set it up. You can come by, you get home with it, unbox it, plug it in, press a button, wait 30 seconds. And the darn thing calls home, finds its way to the internet through your home network, and you then have to get an account at the withings.com website, and you're up and alive and well with the monitoring and motion detection in your home. And it's got this power thing on it. So finally, we arrive at the one that I really like. And this is closest thing I can see to a usable Internet of Things. The Internet of Things, most people, are novelties, right? Who cares if they're, at the current time, if their refrigerator talks to their stove, to their microwave, and to your cell phone, right? But having the Internet talk to your camera solves a lot of all this proprietary nonsense that I've gone through for the past 4 or 5 months, fighting with these Wi-Fi cameras that depended on Flash and ActiveX-based toolbars and add-ons in specific browsers, and only working on some browsers and not others. You don't have to go through all that nonsense anymore. A lot of people have complained, rightfully so, that technology is too darn complicated. This Nix camera simplifies a lot of it. I'll show you how it works. It uses 4 lithium batteries. They last anywhere from a week to 4 months, depending on how much you're recording. For me, right now, I'm recording a lot of stuff. It'll be about a week. And the manufacturer recommends non-rechargeable batteries. I'm using rechargeable batteries just fine. So they must be have a subsidiary that sells non-rechargeable batteries. This camera comes with a base station. This is how it looks. It's waterproof resistant. It's not really waterproof. So you can pour water in it, and most of the water doesn't go into it. Okay, so you can put it outside, and it generally can accept a little bit of rain as long as you don't turn it upside down. It comes with here's a picture that it took. Based on all the photos I've shown you today, this is a screenshot of an actual video I took yesterday. Okay? Everything I've shown you today was done within the last 24 hours. So I've been very busy. It's very sharp, and you'll notice I can probably distinguish across the street, which is about 120 feet away, what's going on, right? So I can help my neighbor keep an eye on his boat and all his fancy vehicles. And I've told him so, and he says that's fine. What else can I tell you about? It runs with every browser I've tried so far. That's a good sign. I'm not fighting with browser add-ons, Flash and ActiveX. And when you run it in a Mac, it looks like this. It encourages you to put in a newer version of Adobe Flash before it wants to let you use it. And this is me using my older Mac. What do they call that? Yosemite. That's old now, as of 2 weeks ago. And it's OS X 10.10. And so I put in the latest Adobe Flash browser, and there it is. I had a pretty good picture. Some reflections from the curtains behind. Sometimes I don't see them. And sometimes I draw the curtains to get a better picture, especially if I'm expecting Boy Scouts or somebody to show up. What else can I tell you about? I should improve on that screenshot. This is what happens at night. It sees a reflection of the other cameras in the window. I have about 4 cameras in that window. So if it wasn't for all the lights, those infrared lamps on all the other cameras, it probably could see through at night, because it's supposed to have night vision, right? So this is it working in Chrome in a Mac, and it works on Firefox in the Mac also. Obviously, I didn't have time to make a good shot for you, so all I'm showing you is what I see at night reflected from the other cameras. Okay, the base station that comes with the Arlo webcam is actually a dedicated Netgear router. And I got this, yesterday I was running this webcam just to see how it was working. And I got an email. It says, click here to see what's happening. Okay, click here to see what's happening. I then clicked on it, and I found out that it had detected my neighbor 125 feet away, roughly, walking across between his front door of his house and his garbage can. And that's him right there. He's returning from his garbage can back to his house by the time I took this screenshot. So based on the fact that the neighbor is just a small object, you can tell that this webcam can be set to massive sensitivity. And that's a good thing if you want to detect every single bird, cat, and pigeon that flies through the view of your webcam, right? They use these webcams, they call them trail cams, for counting hikers and deer. They sometimes count deer and sometimes they count hikers. It depends on what statistics the government's trying to collect, all paid for by your tax dollars. And this, the initial kit costs $179. That means that you get both one camera and one base station, okay? And the base station looks like that. That's a terrible shot, isn't it? And the base station communicates with the camera. So you're out of the loop. You don't have to play around with your browser and software to make things work. Every once in a while, they might send you a firmware update, and you might have to run it. And I'm not sure how that works. It probably goes through the base station and flashes the camera. But basically, it's hardware. And for that, there's less headache. I had mine up and running in less than 10 minutes after I bought it. Okay?
Francis, you have about 5 minutes.
All right, great. And let me see what else can I tell you. All right. If you're home, your camera is communicating through the base station, which is then communicating through your local area network, which is then communicating to the internet. And from there, it goes back to your local area network and back to your web browser or your app inside your camera or your computer, tablet, or cell phone. So everything depends on your local area network working and the internet working. So Some of you might want, if you're doing this and trying to catch burglars like we are, you might want to put your local area network, like I've done, on a UPS system, so that when the burglar flicks all the switches out in the backyard of my house in our breaker panel, he thinks he's home free, and I'm still recording photos and snapping images of him as he's running through my house enjoying himself. Okay, so the free level of account at the Arlo website is 7 days of snapshots, and you can buy more if you need more. It comes with various colored wraps for camouflaging your camera, which will be available soon. What did I tell you about? You can those are nice colored wraps. They haven't started selling them yet. What else can I tell you about? Okay, you can use, obviously, if it depends on a wireless connection between the camera and this dedicated base station, you might have to move this darn base station farther away than you normally planned, and you can use power line transmission. I use that in the house here to get one of my cameras. That's this Arlo camera connected better to my network. So keep that in mind. Here's a presentation about using power line networking to extend your network to places that you don't normally otherwise have a good Wi-Fi signal. Okay, so keep that in mind. We've got a complete presentation about that. Glad to give it to you. You can read it. And then I guess I'll take questions, or you can send me email. I hope you can see that. I'd like to tell you more about each and every one of these cameras. Also, if you have any specific questions regarding a browser I didn't cover, I'd be glad to test that browser and let you know which ones work with which camera. Based on what I've told you, you can see that the headache level will gradually decrease if you're willing to buy something that connects to the internet. Because this thing of having a specific, doing all this browser shopping and stuff may not be what you want to do unless you enjoy making presentations about them to APCUG. So let me know if you have any questions, and I'll let you know if I can get this RF link camera up and running. Put a note on my presentation.